What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about the chronology of water. This is K. Stew's directorial debut. Bella from Twilight is now directing. She probably hates that. But yeah, this is a feature directorial debut. Kristen Stewart has done some shorts before this. Has exercised that directorial muscle in her brain and has wanted to dip into um, feature work ever since. Well, I watched an interview with her and it was basically like, well, fuck, I don't know, ever since the fucking Snickers bar in the fucking pocket. I was like, I don't know what that means, but that's how long she's wanted to direct. So I think she means like forever, but yeah, I got a chance to check this out. It stars Imogen Poots, Thora Birch, Tom Sturridge, and interestingly enough, and the thing we don't talk about enough with this movie, Jim Belushi. We're gonna get to that. It's actually kind of the only thing I really want to talk about, but I'm gonna be respectful and talk about the rest of the movie. So it's based on a memoir, and Kristen has, I guess for you sighted people out there, it's filmed in 16 millimeter. I know that about the film. She wanted to make it look like it was found in an attic, like it was from a different time, like an old family film or something like that you've stumbled upon. So she's obviously drawing from a lot of, she's been working forever with 100 different directors, so she's pulling a lot from all over the place. I didn't get audio description with this. I don't know if there is audio description with this. I'm just trying to be an astute voter for all of the things that I have to vote for. And somebody brought up Chronology of Water, and I was like, man, this film has not been passed my way. So I reached out and I was like, can I have a screener for this? Are you guys alive? Are you campaigning? Like, um, and it's not the easiest watch. It certainly is not a film that I would expect mass audience appeal for. I like if this thing goes over 1,000 screens, I would be shocked. Like I think this is a film that plays to art house theaters and not wide audiences. Not that there isn't like a universal theme and story here, told primarily through a woman who's exploring the sort of trials and tribulations of her history, being it's heavily implied that she was sexually uh, assaulted, molested, whatever, as a child by her father, and that um, that sort of damage uh, can last your lifetime and bleed into other aspects of your life and how that sort of alters and changes you. Her sister, Imogen Poots, plays the lead, who you follow, and Thora is her sister. And as far as I know, they play those characters like the whole time, which makes it a little weird because they start out as kids, and those actresses are both like in their 30s. So um I I I don't know that it quite sells home the but it does make it easier to shoot. I can understand that's kind of where the audio lack of audio description comes in. One of the questions I would have is, did you do it because it made it easier to shoot an uncomfortable scene? Because if you're shooting like a child rape, right? Because everybody remember back when Dakota Fanning fought really hard to make sure that she could make Hound Dog happen because she did all of her own work in that movie, and that film featured an assault, and everybody was up in arms because it was actually Dakota Fanning. And uh, I mean, I think she's grown up to be just fine, but she tried to defend it at the time, and Hound Dog just kind of faded away. So perhaps maybe that was the decision, to use adult actresses would be to show that, because then the audience is not as uncomfortable, just confused, because the actresses clearly do not look like teenagers. Uh, so, eh, but as far as I can tell, it's a good performance from Imogen Poots, who actually has far more to do here than she did in Hedda. She didn't really register for me in Hedda as being one of the standout performances in that movie. She does here as being one of the standouts. Um, we do follow her journey from childhood. You know, she's trying to get a scholarship to go to college. Eventually, she is able to go to college, so she's able to escape the oppressiveness of her father and get away from that. And when she goes away, she's able to explore her own sexual freedom by making her own choices about who she wants to have in her bed. And through all of her experiences, she's able to start writing and putting these things into journals. A friend notices them and and thinks she's a good writer and says she should submit for this writing program with a very famous author played by Jim Belushi, and the author is Ken Casey. So, wow. So Jim Belushi plays Ken Casey in here, and I gotta say, yeah, I loved it. And the funny thing was, I went into this not knowing Jim Belushi was in it. I went into this knowing it's K Stu's, you know, directorial debut, and it's up for awards consideration. And I hadn't really heard much about it. Like, it's one of those Cannes debuts that hit but didn't really quite get into the conversation. There are several films like this. This is not a Chronology of Water problem. This is like, where's Alpha? What happened to Alpha? Where did Alpha go? But yeah, there were several films that were at Cannes, and I don't know where they are. But this one came back my way without me knowing Jim Belushi was playing Ken Casey. So sitting there the whole movie, and I was like, man, that Ken Casey performance was solid. It was solid. Who played that? And I was like, oh my God, Jim Belushi? What? I think this is his best work ever. Like, I want him to get like a special award for achievement in, like, oh my God, what? I don't know if that's a thing. And the award for, oh my God, what? Goes to Jim Belushi for The Chronology of Water. Um, talk about outside of the box casting. Talk about, like, just sort of brilliant sort of Ken Casey. But man, he gets that sort of, because he talks a lot about, like, drugs and getting out of your head, and like the differences between the different drugs, right? And encouraging these writers to find themselves, and all that kind of stuff. And he's very um very astute, while also being like decidedly different than everything else that's going on around him at this time. And feels like that cool professor, you know, and I can now that I know that it's him, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can picture that. But I never would have guessed Jim Belushi, just because I don't think he doesn't scream, let's put him in an independent drama, directed by Kristen Stewart. You know, let's throw him in there and see what happens. But you know what? If he's reinventing himself and trying to get back in there because the According to Jim revival is not happening, I don't think there ever was one, but it's not happening. There isn't one. So if he's trying to get his work out there, then yeah, I support. This proves that he has more chops than anybody really gave him any credit for, with all of the According to Jim jokes. So yeah, that was a standout performance for me, in a film that is not easy to follow without audio description. It does have a lot of internal thoughts, like monologuing, that's supposed to be like the writing in the book. So through that, I was able to get a lot that was implied on screen through sound effects, and I got a little bit. it's also written much like a way like a poetic author would write things, so it's not obvious. It's very uh, ethereal at times. Uh, I I guess which is why the film reminded me of Tree of Life. I don't know. But that was the film that came to mind after I was on the Chronology of Water. I was like, oh man, that reminded me of Tree of Life. I should see that again. They're not the same. They're not. But there is something that's very sort of loose in their narrative structure. And I think that's what Chronology of Water has. I think Tree of Life is the better movie. But as far as Chronology of Water goes, it's an audacious debut from Kristen Stewart. I just don't know that it quite nails the I don't think it nails everything that it needs to in order to really be that firm, uh, bold new filmmaker on the block. You know, every once in a while we get. Plus, like we keep getting. She's not even the only actor that's like switching over to directorial debut. This year we had Harris Dickinson with Urchin, Michael Angarano with Sacramento. That was just off the top of my head. I didn't even prepare for that. So, yeah, she's not the only one that's launching with their film careers this year. So, I think it's probably like a nice proof of concept for what to do next, but I don't know what her next thing would be and how much of this she would want to bring into the next film, how much of the style, because arguably, if she maintains this approach, I don't think she ever becomes widely accessible for audiences. And if her films don't gain critical success, you can't really perpetually make art house movies without getting art house audiences. I think this has mixed reviews. I think she'll be able to get another film out, but at a certain point, if it just continues to be more of the same, um, while also being unable to be marketed to wide audiences. I don't know. I don't know how long she can do this for. Uh, how many films she gets to do this with, but I think she should definitely get another shot. There's a lot of promise here. I don't know that the script supports her as much. Their choices. I felt like her choice to have the monologuing, the narration throughout the film, is sporadic, and it feels like not consistent. Felt there was a period sort of in the middle and around the Jim Belushi era where it felt like we were going for a while, and then like when King Casey, when his time is up in the movie, she comes back in with some thought, and I was like, oh, I thought we stopped this. I thought we had moved on. I thought maybe this was a signal that we were in that we had changed finally into the current time period because everything else was you as an author up until this point, and maybe we were playing catch up, and then now that you are an author, we're gonna do less of that. And no, we did more of that then afterwards. So yeah, I felt like it was just kind of uh, with like a lack of rhythm, but Chronology of Water has this elliptical storytelling to it anyway. So it's hard to really say that that was a surprise looking back on it when I look at the totality of the work and say, well, that doesn't make any sense to the structure. I think she's just trying to make a film that uh, winds. It's a little bit like a vortex or something, in terms of a film. It's hard to pin down. It's not traditionally linear. It's not non-linear in the most interesting way possible, sort of like a Memento would be, where things are told out of order, but still somehow in order for the way that the audience is supposed to consume them. It deals with difficult subject matters in a fairly effective way. The most effective, I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like I've seen films that have dealt with um, sexual abuse of minors in a more direct way. And I think perhaps, like what I mentioned, It's like, if you're going to use adult actresses playing these roles, like decidedly adult actresses that could not possibly be mistaken by a sighted actor, by a sighted person, for being under the age of 18. If you're going to put them in there, it should be because you have the freedom to explore those scenes. And I'm wondering whether or not she did. That would be the reason that I would not cast younger versions of them, because they're old enough where you could cast younger versions and then have them age up into the older actresses. So, yeah, and then there's some stuff with the father. He comes back around at the end, which causes, memories to come back, but not for everybody. And that was interesting. So I didn't hate the Chronology of Water. My initial reaction, I dipped into one of the critics groups that I'm in, was, well, I didn't like it, but I respect it. And at the end of the day, I feel bad because I was trying to just get around to making sure that I'm a lot of times, especially towards the end of the year, I talk about how many films I've seen. And that's kind of, when I vote, it's my vote. Actually, I've seen a lot of movies, and not just the movies that have the biggest campaigns, but I've been trying to see movies all year long. So that way, when I sit down and go, okay, so this is what I really feel like worked the best. These are the performances that I really feel like made the most impact. It's really based on like the largest swab, and I want to give every film a shot. So here, I walk away from it. Jim Belushi is the closest thing. If Chronology of Water was to end up on any of my voting ballots, it'd be for Jim Belushi, maybe for Kristen Stewart in directorial debut feature. If I have like 5 spots and I'm looking at the list and I'm like, shit, I could see me giving her the 5th spot, because I think there are a lot of interesting choices that she makes here. But I don't know that it's worth it, because ultimately this is a rotten for me. I asked myself some questions like, did I like it? No, I didn't. I didn't enjoy the experience. Not that it's necessarily an enjoyable experience, but there have been films that are tough watches that I loved. Mass. Like, I will go to bat any day of the week for Mass. That is such a hard watch. Beautiful film, and I love it with all my heart and soul. And it's not an easy film to get through. So, I can handle tough subject matter. I just don't know that this worked for me, and especially without audio description. So then I came back around to the question, because there have been a couple films where I'm like, well, I think, most films benefit from audio description. Would this go positive? And I'm like, I'm not really sure, because of the way that the choice is. So I actually feel less positive, less conflicted about giving a rotten score for this, because this is one of those films where I'm actually not sure that audio description would push it enough over to give it fresh, where I actually think that there's enough happening here to get it across the finish line. I don't think it's a bad film that people should run away from. I just think it's a flawed film. I think it's a film that is deep in its artistic vision and kind of got lost in it. But the audacity of Kristen Stewart is what makes it worth watching, and the really just brilliant casting decision of Jim Belushi. I mean, Imogen Poots is great here too, because she's in like the whole movie, so it's really hard for it to not be a dynamic performance from somebody who's such a great actress. She just doesn't have the screen time and how to allow her to flourish quite the way that this film does. So there are things to like about the film, but it's a challenging watch. It's long. It felt long. It's one of those films where I can't say I didn't look at the time. I didn't look at my phone. I can't say those things. So the things that I would normally recommend a film based on, yeah, there's nothing there. But as far as artistic merit, this film is dripping with the ambition to be artistically accepted as a director. So I respect it. I respect Kristen Stewart's work here, and I hope somebody does give her another chance, because, for example, I loved A Real Pain. That was not Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut, and if somebody had stopped Jesse after his first film and said no more, we wouldn't have gotten A Real Pain. And I think that's sort of, that's kind of the thing, is that if you stop people just because the first film didn't work, you have to look at the film and go, is there something there? Yes, let's give them more. And I think with Kristen Stewart, there is something here. Give her more to do. Hopefully she heard the feedback. Hopefully she got feedback. And she doesn't live inside of a bubble where she's like, I'm the most amazing person on the face of the planet. But yeah, there's room to grow. And I would be excited to see what she did next. But this just didn't work for me. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And that's it. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.